good afternoon. Today it is raw, May 50s, and there's a very light rain. You know, the kind that if it was colder would stick to the ground, it would turn into black ice. That kind of rain. That kind of temperature is not here, however, so we don't have black ice. And I'm enjoying the fact that the gravel has some grip to it. So what's going on today? Well, I'd say this is the day that Trump tries to strike back, tries to regain the initiative here. And he's done several things that fit his lack of character and hopefully will fail, because it would embarrass even his bought and paid for judges to do what he wants them to do. Let's start. Trump is suing CNN, and it's suing them for defamation and slander. $475 million. And what is the basis of the slander? Now let's have you probably know all of this, but the legal lesson here is if you commit a slander, and there are several kinds of slanders. One example is you say a politician takes bribes. And it's an example because it's a crime. And a crime is very special because that kind of crime really would hold anybody else in perfidy, but not Trump, who commits them all the time. So for him, normalcy is that he is a criminal, and apparently his supporters accept that, and there's not a lot you can do about it. Now, it is important here that Trump, for the purposes of the law, is a public figure. And if something said about him was false, it would have to be done with malice. There's almost a prescription if you're talking about Trump. What's wrong with you if there isn't some malice involved? Malice for what he's done to the nation, what he's done to our party, what he's done to women. You know, go on and on. How he coerces and cajoles and does all manner of deceitful things for himself. He's no Robin Hood, unless Robin was really stealing for himself instead of for his merry band of warriors, for the people in the community. So, now slander, if you accuse somebody of, say, a crime, like insurrection, overthrowing the government, lying about who won the election, if you say those things and they're true, then there's no action. There's no action in slander, because truth is a defense to slander. So if Trump was really involved with insurrection, and if he's really lying and he's doing these other things that reporters have stated he did, there's no civil offense in slander, and there's certainly no criminal slander or libel involved either. So why does Trump do this? To get the headline. The reason he does everything. He counts on our system being slow enough that he can say this as if it's real, raise money, and keep battling, keeping the uncertainty going until, in his mind, he becomes president after he does to DeSantis and dispatches him as a candidate the way he did every other one before. And you know he's not doing it alone. And you know that the lawyers who are bringing this action to CNN, well, who's paying them? Are the citizens paying him and the money they're raising? Okay, now, we're not over there. That's not the end of it. And in this suit, by the way, Trump's lawyers came to CNN and said, we'd like you to stop saying that he lies. Now, that is really something, because at the same time we have a president violating all these laws, he would take on the First Amendment, try to chill any accurate coverage of what's going on for fear of being sued. And he's doing it now at his most important time because of the midterm elections. And he's figuring if he can win both houses on behalf of people, or it happens with or without him, he's in a stronger position to run for president in 24. And in the meantime, they can turn their guns on the White House and try to bury them in subpoenas and everything else. There are going to be a lot of jobs for former prosecutors if we lose the House, in the White House. So that's kind of, that's what that's about. There's before the Supreme Court, there was the Voting Rights Act was there. And the Voting Rights Act would protect people in Alabama against an unequal protection of the law, really. And what conservatives are just saying is that you should be indifferent to race, no matter what is happening. So what is the beef about? Let's reduce it to its basic claim. There are 7 congressional seats in Kansas, okay? And the population of blacks is 27%. So approximately 27% of 7 is close to 2. It's 1.89 or 1.9. It's very close. So what has Alabama done? They gave only 1 seat to black voters when it was argued, to be fair and equal protection, etc., etc., it should be 2. Well, the trial court decided that was right and said, draw the maps again. That's what led to the appeal to the Supreme Court, and today was the second day, and Judge Jackson took the floor and asked some questions like, you do know that we have to give equal protection before the law. The Voting Rights Act is about that. You understand that, Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. And it wasn't clear that the Attorney General for Alabama knew that. And I have to admit, the only time I argued a case in Alabama in the Circuit Court of Appeals, I felt like I was thrown back in history to the demonstrations that happened up and down those streets a long time ago. So that's a very special problem. Another thing that bothers me is that the Supreme Court is being invoked by Trump. And the invocation is to skip the 11th Circuit, go straight to the Supreme Court, and say to the Supreme Court, hey, you got to make him look at those classified documents. Now, the classified documents are in no way Trump's property. So, as a matter of law, that should go nowhere. But I think Trump is counting on stopping the clock in every direction. This would be a really good time for our Attorney General to grow a pair. I don't think it's possible. I think it's absolutely impossible. But, he might do something besides process. He might. And, he could say, we're trying those guys, the Oath Keepers, although we don't know what the oath is except to overturn the government. And, see, we're doing that. Yes, but what about the White House? What about the people who really did it? Why aren't you there? Why aren't you prosecuting them? What are you waiting for? When we're all in camps because we oppose Trump? Because, in history, things like that happen. Who knows what will happen here? We may see newsmen in special camps. And don't kid yourself. This guy Trump, there is nothing he wouldn't do to get power and to hang on to it. And what we're watching is just that. And we have a bunch of kittens purring at him instead of tigers tearing him limb from limb, in a metaphorical sense, in a courtroom. So that's my analysis today. We're in the court on slander as a defense for Trump's fear of being indicted. We're in the court trying to mess up the search, to perhaps delay that prosecution until after the election. We have a Voting Rights Act thing in which, in Alabama and elsewhere, they're doing everything they can to limit the vote of those people that they can't get because they are not a popular party, and they will never be a popular party because they are only the party of Wall Street and what will help those who bring them to the dance. And that pretty much defines Trump as well. If it doesn't have a dollar sign, and it doesn't mean power, and probably doesn't mean sexual pleasure, he's not interested. So, I, on this chilly day, say goodbye to you in my my cathedral of trees. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.